Hey everybody! You may have noticed that I'm doing something a little different today than my usual garbage I make on YouTube. That's right everybody, today we're doing a movie review. What movie you might ask? Perfume, the story of a murderer. And if you haven't heard of it, be thankful for that. The movie is described as a period psychological thriller that takes place in 18th century France. And it has literally been haunting my nightmares ever since I first saw it. And I can say confidently that this is quite literally the creepiest movie I have ever seen in my entire life. Plus, there aren't a whole lot of people out there who have really talked about this movie, so I figured I'd give it a shot. So, without further ado, let's hop on into this thing. The movie opens up where we get to see our main character, Jean-Baptiste Grenouille, being dragged out in front of an angry crowd and sentenced to execution. Forewarning, I am terrible at pronunciation, and these French names are going to be tricky for me. We don't have any idea yet as to what's happening or why Jean-Baptiste is so hated by these people, but that crowd is mad. They got their pitchforks and guns out. I mean, they're out for blood. But just one thing, I just want to focus on this guy at the front of the crowd who's waving around his straw hat. Everyone else has all these weapons at the ready, but this one guy showed up with nothing but his hat. Why? Why didn't he get a weapon? All right, here's a weapon for you. And a weapon for you. Hey, Brad, you know I got your weapon, buddy. Here you go, pal. Stacy, my girl, you know I got your weapon. Here you go. All right. I think that's just about everybody. Hey, sorry I'm late for the angry mob. Traffic was just terrible today. So, can I have my weapon? Sure. Here you go. This is just your hat. No. It's not. Did you forget to bring a weapon for me? No, of course not. Leslie? My name is Amanda. Come on, guys. This is the second time this has happened to me. First poker night and now this? I even brought the snacks, you guys. The snacks. And this is how you repay me? Listen, I'm really sorry. No, you know what? You don't deserve this hat. I'm keeping it. No, wait, that was a birthday gift from my cousin.
There lived a man who was one of the most gifted and notorious personages of his time. His name was Jean-Baptiste Grenouille, and if his name has been forgotten today, it is for the sole reason that his entire ambition was restricted to a domain that leaves no trace in history, to the fleeting realm of scent.
So the whole gimmick of this movie is that this guy, Jean-Baptiste, has a really good sense of smell. And now we get to see a flashback as to how Jean-Baptiste was born. And I gotta say, this scene makes just no sense at all. The movie basically implies that the mom gives birth to him in a matter of seconds. If you look at this scene, one moment she goes into labor, gives birth, and then just stands back up to go back to work in what looks like is between the span of a few minutes. Now, I'm no expert in childbirth, but I feel like it would take a bit longer than that, right? I mean, traditionally when a woman gives birth, she doesn't just stand up right afterwards, let alone goes back to work. And I guess you could argue that more time had passed, but if that's the case, then why did no one stop to help her? The woman was literally lying on the ground, screaming in labor, giving birth. Why did no one help her? What the heck?
It was his mother's 5th birth. She delivered them all here under her fish stand, and all had been stillbirths or semi-stillbirths.
Okay, so the movie says that all of this woman's children were stillbirths, which means they're dead. But here's the thing. Right after she gives birth, this woman literally just shoves her baby away and doesn't even check to see if he's dead or not. She doesn't even take his pulse. What the heck, lady? No wonder why all of your kids keep dying. You don't actually check to see if they're alive or not. But eventually, baby Jean-Baptiste starts crying, alerting the townspeople. Weird that they stopped for the baby crying, but didn't actually do anything about the woman who was in labor. But they all assumed that she was trying to kill her baby and is instantly sentenced to death. Though, to be honest, I'm kind of on the townspeople's side. She was basically leaving her newborn baby to die. So Jean-Baptiste is sent to live in an orphanage, and once again, the children instantly assume he's dead.
Is it dead?
Is it dead? What's wrong with these people? I know babies typically scream and cry a lot, but a quiet baby does not equal a dead baby. We can even see the kid breathing in this shot. What are you talking about? And now we also get another healthy dose of potential baby murder when the orphans try to smother Jean-Baptiste because he's taking too much room up on their bed. We're not even 10 minutes into this, and there's already been 2 potential baby murders. What the heck, movie? No wonder why this kid grows up to be so hated. Everyone's constantly trying to kill him.
By the age of 13, Madame Gaillard no longer had room for Jean-Baptiste, and therefore decided to sell him.
So Madame Gaillard, the owner of the orphanage, sells Jean-Baptiste to these fisherman people since there's no more room for him at the orphanage. So she does that, and then not 5 seconds later, she is instantly robbed and murdered. Okay then. Flash forward a couple of years, and Jean-Baptiste is still working for the fishermen, when one day, he gets to go to town for a delivery. And while he's there, Jean-Baptiste gets to smell all of these new and interesting things, one of which in particular is this new perfume, Amour and Psyche. This will be important later, so keep that in mind. Upon seeing this, or more accurately, smelling this, Jean-Baptiste is then hit with another smell. Oh, it's a girl. Wait a second. I thought Jean-Baptiste wanted to smell new stuff. That's what the narrator said.
The goal was to possess everything the world had to offer in the way of odors, his only condition being that they were new ones.
So why is he so overtaken by this girl scent? Is the movie trying to tell us that he never smelt a girl before? We know that's not true. There are plenty of times throughout the movie that we see him in smelling range of women. The owner of the orphanage was a woman. Well, whatever. The gist of it is he decides to follow this girl who's selling whatever this is. Wait, what even are these? Is it a fruit? It looks like food. Okay, so I just looked it up and the Wikipedia page for this says that these are yellow plums. They are a variety of yellow plums that are associated with Lorraine in France. Well, alright then. So Jean-Baptiste has finally caught up with this girl and decides to make this face for some reason. And in case this girl wasn't already creeped out by this guy enough, he decides to do this. Oh. So yeah, this girl justifiably gets freaked out and runs away. She then decides that the best course of action is to go sit in a dark, empty back alleyway all by herself and peel her yellow plums while not paying attention to her surroundings. Okay. So if you couldn't tell where this is going, Jean-Baptiste catches up with her and then proceeds to continue to smell her from behind like a creep. Cool. But just before this girl has a chance to freak out, Jean-Baptiste grabs her and pulls her out of sight. Unfortunately, this girl dies, but for the life of me, I can't understand how she died. All he did was grab her mouth so she doesn't scream. He didn't choke her. In fact, his hands were nowhere near her neck. Maybe he suffocated her, but it doesn't look like he's holding her nose. And even if he is, he was only holding her for a couple of seconds. Not even a whole minute. As far as I could tell, he lightly grabbed her and she just dropped dead. Well, that just goes to show you guys, don't go grabbing women or they will instantly die on you. Hey Carrie, I just heard you won an award for the best yellow plums. Way to go. Oh, thanks. You're so sweet. Yeah, well, maybe sometime you could even show me how to peel them. Yeah, that sounds really nice. All right, well, I'll see you later, Carrie. Have a good day. No, wait! Oh my gosh, Carrie, no! That's a good lesson to take from this movie. So Jean-Baptiste then begins to smell this girl's dead body, but gets really sad when he realizes that he can no longer smell her because dead bodies don't have a scent. Although that really doesn't make a whole lot of sense because corpses do start to smell after a while, you know, because they're rotting. And I imagine that they don't just instantly become odorless after someone dies, right? Your body doesn't just stop smelling, right? Am I crazy? Am I wrong? I don't know. Well, then again, I've never tried to smell a freshly dead body before because I'm not insane. Flash forward a bit and we are now introduced to Giuseppe Baldini, an Italian perfumer whose shop has been losing business recently due to the amazing new Amour and Psyche perfume that I mentioned earlier. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Is that Master Shifu? What's he doing in this movie? Side note, in Italian, the word basta means enough or stop. And I am pretty sure that this is the only Italian that Dustin Hoffman actually bothered to learn for this movie because he says it a lot.
Basta! That's enough! Basta! No, basta!
Just thought I'd point that out. So apparently Giuseppe is going out of business because of that perfume we saw earlier, Amore and Psyche, which everybody loves and is really taking a toll on his business. But that's all going to change soon as Giuseppe meets Jean-Baptiste, who is still creeping out in the shadows and making weird faces for some reason. But we learned that Jean-Baptiste can not only use his amazing nose to produce Amore and Psyche from scratch, but can even make it smell better.
If you let me again, Master, I'll make it more better.
He'll make it more better? Amazing grammar.
New formula L'Oreal Elnet.
Because I'm worth it.
Naturally, Giuseppe wants Jean-Baptiste to come and work for him, so he buys him off from the fisherman guy. And then 5 seconds later, the fisherman guy dies. You know, I'm noticing a pattern here. Every time Jean-Baptiste is sold off to someone else, his previous owner instantly dies. His mom was hanged, the orphanage owner was mugged, and now the fisherman guy gets dumped in the river. If that trend continues, things are definitely not going to be looking good for Master Shifu over here.
The acquisition of Grenouille miraculously transformed his dwindling business, even surpassing its former glory.
So now with the help of Jean-Baptiste, Giuseppe's shop is doing better than ever. So Giuseppe tells him about the 12 chords of making perfume.
Just like a musical chord, a perfume chord contains 4 essences, necessitating 12 notes. Mind you, the ancient Egyptians believed that one can only create a truly original perfume by adding an extra note. One final essence that will ring out and dominate the others.
Okay, so I looked that up, and after doing some research, I was unable to find anything about whether the Egyptians adding 13 chords to their perfume is true or not. But, fun fact, the Egyptians were the ones who first invented perfume, so there's that. Honestly, after rewatching the movie a couple of times, it becomes very obvious to me that this entire statement was just a way to move the plot forward. Because let's be real here, if Giuseppe didn't tell Jean-Baptiste about this magic perfume thing, I'm pretty sure that none of the events that happen in the second half of this movie would have ever occurred in the first place. You'll see what I mean in a minute.
Legend has it that an amphora was once found in a pharaoh's tomb, and when it was opened, a perfume was released. 12 essences could be identified, but the 13th could never be determined.
Okay, so I just have a question. If 13 chords in a perfume make it smell so much better than the usual 12, why don't people just make perfume with 13 chords? I mean, I'm no perfumer, but I would think that that's the smart thing to do. Meanwhile, Jean-Baptiste still finds himself being haunted by the memory of that girl's scent from the market.
What's the matter?
I have to learn how to capture scent.
So Jean-Baptiste is just going nuts. All he cares about is learning how to capture scent, and it's really messing with his head. And this is where we get to see how the perfume is made, which I personally find really cool and interesting. But of course, Jean-Baptiste has to go and remind us that this is supposed to be a horror movie, so he goes and does this.
Don Mia, have you gone completely insane? Look! With the cat!
Yeah, a cat. This dude just boiled a cat alive trying to turn it into perfume. There are just so many red flags popping up here. Even Giuseppe looks scared. And I just want to point one thing out here. This is a DreamWorks movie. I mean, I know DreamWorks doesn't shy away from taking on more mature themes in their movies, but I don't know. I mean, maybe this is just me, but I still find it just so weird that the company that made this
Look! With the cat!
is the same company that made this. Anyway, after realizing that he can't distill the smell of a cat, Jean-Baptiste passes out and everyone thinks he's going to die. Somehow. Whatever. The movie doesn't try to explain it, so I'm certainly not going to. But fortunately, or unfortunately, depending on how you feel about this character, Jean-Baptiste makes a miraculous recovery at the promise of being able to preserve scents by traveling to the town of Grasse. By the way, I didn't mention this before, but earlier in the movie, Giuseppe told him about the town of Grasse, which is a real place in France, by the way, and how it's pretty much the town that you need to visit to learn everything there is to know about perfumes.
Grass. Basta!
So now that Jean-Baptiste has his journeyman's papers, he's headed off to the town of Grasse, Giuseppe has his perfumes, and it looks like everyone's going to live happily ever his house just collapsed into the lake. No explanation. No reason why. It just gave out and fell. Why? I'll admit that they do foreshadow this a bit earlier in the movie by having the house rattle a bit, but I mean, they never give you any reason to suspect that the whole house is just gonna fall apart like this. Is that something that just happened in 18th century France? Buildings would just randomly crumble to dust? I am learning so much about that place. Granted, I mean, it was obvious that Giuseppe was going to die because that's just what happened to Jean-Baptiste's other masters. But why like this? Maybe it could symbolize how everywhere Jean-Baptiste goes, he just leaves a trail of death and destruction in his wake, and it only gets worse over time? Or maybe it's God smiting Giuseppe for giving Jean-Baptiste the means to go and be even creepier in grass. But all of that is just some stuff that I made up in my head. Absolutely none of it is related to the movie. But whatever, I'm done trying to rationalize this. Let's go check in on Jean-Baptiste and see what he's up to. Jean-Baptiste is now living in a cave. You know, at this point, that doesn't even surprise me. Jean-Baptiste continues on his way to Grasse when all of a sudden, he gets a whiff of something new on the horizon. So after Jean-Baptiste makes yet another creepy face at the camera, he finally makes it to Grasse. So just like the first time, Jean-Baptiste, who has apparently learned nothing in the last hour and 6 minutes, decides to once again follow this girl back to her house and stalk her from the darkness. And just at the moment when you think he's gonna pull another one of his touch of death maneuvers on the girl, she gets pulled out of there right in the nick of time by...
Laura.
Coming, Papa.
Dude! They got Professor Snape in this movie too? How did they get such good actors in such a terrible movie? Well, to be fair, they did just kill off the only likable character in this movie. And since we still have another hour and a half to go,
Another hour and a half to go.
it only makes sense to add another likable character. But two things, okay? This movie came out in 2007, which is the same year that Harry Potter, Order of the Phoenix, and Sweeney Todd came out, all of which starred Alan Rickman, this guy. All I have to say is, somebody had a very productive year, especially since I like 2 out of 3 of these movies. You could take a guess as to which one I don't like. And the other thing is, and this may just be me, but how awesome would it be to see a fight between Professor Snape and Master Shifu? I would pay any amount of money to see that. Write in the comments below, who do you think will win? Professor Snape or Master Shifu? In what can only be called the Battle of the Sneefu. Flash forwards a bit, and Jean-Baptiste is now working at a perfume factory in town. And in said factory, there is a giant, human-sized container that is used for distilling perfumes. I think we all know where this is going. Yep. But just like the cat, the perfume had no scent to it. So old Jean-Baptiste decides that he's going to have to change his tactics on this one. So he hires a prostitute to let him rub animal fat all over her to see if that will work in capturing the scent. Sure. Of course, things naturally start to become a little bit too creepy for this girl, especially when Jean-Baptiste pulls out a knife to scrape the fat off her skin, and she starts to think, maybe I should get out of here. But Jean-Baptiste is having none of that. So now Jean-Baptiste wraps this girl up in some more animal fat, scrapes it off her dead body, and then scalps her so he can use her hair to make the perfume. This experiment works, and he manages to capture the girl's scent. So well, in fact, that her own dog mistakes him for her. So now knowing that his perfume works, Jean-Baptiste is out to make the perfect perfume. Cut back to this girl, whose name we learn is Laura, celebrating her birthday with her dad, Richins? I'm not gonna lie, I have no idea how to pronounce this guy's name, so we're just gonna call him Laura's dad.
Where does this come next, Papa?
These ones can.
Why is that funny? Meanwhile, out in the bushes, Jean-Baptiste is maintaining his image of being the literal boogeyman by stalking the party from the darkness.
To our guest of honor, His Excellency, the Marquis de Montesquieu.
Okay, so if you couldn't tell, this guy, who for the purposes of this video we are going to call Fancy Pants, because his name is stupidly hard for me to say, has a thing for Laura. Ooh. But here's the catch. Laura isn't too sure that she's fond of him, and things are looking pretty awkward. Especially since this girl is a teenager, and Fancy Pants over here looks like he's in his 30s. So to break the tension, one of the girls recommends that they all play a game of hide and seek in the dark, creepy labyrinth, where guess who just happens to be watching? Great idea. Even if there wasn't a psycho creeping around the bushes, playing hide and seek in a maze at night still sounds like a really stupid idea to me, but it's my opinion. Again, why are they clapping at that? I really don't think a game of hide and seek is worth a round of applause. Maybe the winner would get some applause, but nothing has even happened yet. Was 18th century France really just that boring? Hey, you know what would be fun? Let's go play hide and seek in a dark, creepy maze at night. Dude, that is the best idea I've ever heard in my life. But while playing the game, things start to get a little bit creepy. So Fancy Pants catches up with her, and it looks like Laura is gonna be okay. But here's the thing. Laura never tells anybody about the guy who was chasing her. Like, ever. She never brings it up. Why? Why would Laura not say anything about this? There's a wacko sprinting at her through the bushes, and she never says anything about it. She doesn't even tell her dad. Who doesn't tell someone about it? It's like, seriously. Laura, what are you doing? And guess what happens next? Great. Now Jean-Baptiste just added 2 more kills to his list. Amazing. And these girls were the ones from the party who recommended the game in the first place. That'll teach you. And still, Laura never brings it up. I mean, even after she finds out that they're dead, she never mentions anything about it. It's Laura! What are you doing? You would think.
Oh man, those 2 girls got murdered at my party last night. Maybe it had something to do with that crazy guy who was lurking around in the bushes and started sprinting at me for no reason. Nah, probably not.
Laura, what are you doing? Are you stupid? Tell someone about this. There's a murderer out there and you saw him. Naturally, the town starts to freak out about this since there have now been 3 murders and no one knows who the killer could be. Laura's dad thinks that they need to set a curfew, but of course no one is backing him up on this because apparently it will ruin the town's trade.
This could mean the ruin of our trade.
Yeah, well, guess what happens next? That's what I thought. So the murders continue, and everyone is really starting to panic.
We have to put ourselves inside the mind of this man. It seems to me that it's the beauty itself that he wants. It's almost as if he's trying to gather something. As if his ambitions are those of a collector. I fear he won't stop killing until his collection is complete.
So while Laura's dad is over here being your friendly neighborhood Sherlock Holmes, putting all the pieces of the puzzle together like a boss, does anyone in the town council listen to him? No, of course not, because that would be too obvious. They just decide instead to have the church excommunicate Jean-Baptiste, because that'll stop him.
He's been caught! He's been caught!
Oh, wow. Oh, guess it did. No, actually, this isn't true, as the smartest character in the movie kindly explains for us.
This cannot possibly be the same man.
He confessed to everything.
Yes, under torture.
Nevertheless, people in the town still don't listen to him and instead decide to throw a bonfire party. At night, filled with a large crowd, where it's easy to lose sight of someone. Great idea! But Laura's dad is having none of that and he pulls her out of there right quick.
Laura!
So an upset Laura decides to run off down a dark, narrow alleyway all by herself because she's sad. You know what? I was right before. Laura is stupid. At this point, she's surviving solely on plot armor because guess who is waiting for her around the corner? Laura, get back here immediately, Laura. Laura! Laura! Stop it. Stop it, Laura. Laura! 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 Stop it, Laura! You are so stupid! Laura! You're so stupid, Laura!
Laura!
Papa.
Gosh Gosh darn it, this is the third time this girl has been Deus Ex Machina'd out of getting herself killed. Now, I'm not saying I want her to die, but it would be nice if she could be smart enough not to put herself in these positions in the first place. So they head home and go to bed. When... Are you kidding me? You know what? Screw it. This is the fourth time this guy has had a chance to kill her, and at this point, we all know it's coming. So just do it already. But no, it was actually a dream all along. Or so we think. Until Laura's dad notices that her bedroom window is mysteriously open.
Did you open the window?
No. Why?
Why? Because there's a murderer out there who's trying to kill you. How's that for why? Come on already, Laura. Wake up and smell the rotting corpses. Because if you don't wisen up, you're gonna be next and I will feel nothing. Honestly, I'll feel worse for her dad. He's a smart character who genuinely cares about Laura, and Laura is a whiny baby who is constantly putting herself in peril. So as the only character in the movie who's actually making intelligent decisions, Laura's dad decides for them to pack up and get the heck out of there. But what they don't know is the murderous version of a search and rescue dog is hot on their trail. Meanwhile, back in town, this guy ends up finding the remnants of Jean-Baptiste's arts and craft project. But since you were 2 seconds too late, Jean-Baptiste is already long gone and on his way to find his next victim, who happens to be staying in a lovely chateau by the water.
I've written to the Marquis accepting his proposal of marriage on your behalf and requesting that it take place as soon as possible.
I don't know whether I even love him.
I'm afraid the circumstances leave us no choice.
Look, Laura, I get it. It's gotta be really tough to be forced to marry a man you don't love, but let's just look at the facts for a second, okay? So far, you have whined like a spoiled child, actively put yourself in dangerous positions, you did not tell anyone about the potentially dangerous person hiding on your property, or connect the dots when 2 girls from that party ended up dead the next day. You refused to listen to your father, who clearly knows better than you. And we've already established that you're far too stupid to take care of yourself. So, I'm sorry, Laura, but I'm completely on your father's side on this one. You absolutely need to marry Fancy Pants and get as far away from this place as possible. But Jean-Baptiste ends up sneaking into the chateau and headed straight for Laura. But luckily, her dad locked her in a room just to be safe. I don't know why he didn't lock himself in his room as well, since that's where he's keeping the key to Laura's room, and didn't even bother to hide the key. An even smarter move would have been to sleep in the same room as Laura and lock themselves both inside, which wouldn't be out of character for her dad since we've already established that he's overprotective. Or maybe just lock the doors to both of their rooms and hide the keys, you know, just to be safe. Or her dad even could have just stayed awake all night and guarded her door. I mean, we already know that he's not sleeping because he's so freaked out about this whole thing. Any one of those would have been a good idea. But whatever, we're getting to the end of this movie and the writers clearly want Laura to die, so screw pre-established character traits. Let's move this thing along, baby.
Wow, that was really convenient that he just left the key right on the table for me. Thanks, dude. You made my job a whole lot easier.
Okay, and scream. Scream. Laura. Scream! Run! Do something! Do literally anything! Hey Dad, there's a killer in my bedroom. I probably could do literally anything to stop this guy from killing me right now, but I'm not going to, because I'm stupid. Why, Laura? Why do you gotta be like this? Alright, I know this may seem nitpicky, but I timed this, and this girl had a solid 13 seconds to react to this strange guy looming over her with a club about to hit her in the head, and she did nothing. Why? Laura, if I get a phone call too early in the morning, I jump out of bed screaming. Meanwhile, this girl had a literal murderer towering over her, and she laid there like a dead fish, just staring at him. She didn't even flinch. I'm starting to think Laura wants to die. Cut to Alan Rickman practicing for his big scene in Harry Potter, and Jean-Baptiste has finally made his perfect perfume, just in time to get arrested. Thank God. And now, finally, it's time for the execution. The moment that I certainly have been waiting for the last
hour and 57 minutes.
But since Jean-Baptiste still has his perfect perfume from earlier, he puts it on and manages to brainwash the guards, who give him their clothes, ride him to town in a carriage, and treat him like he's the greatest thing since yellow plums. How does the perfume do that? Egyptian magic? I don't know. Look, just try not to think about it too hard. But if you thought that sounded stupid, get ready, because this next scene is about to get a whole lot dumber. So Jean-Baptiste rides to his execution and walks out on stage like an absolute boss. And because he smells so good, the entire crowd just starts screaming that he must be innocent.
This man is innocent.
Oh, but wait, it gets weirder. Wait, what are you doing? No, don't do that. Don't do that. Stop it. Stop it right now. No! So yeah, because Jean-Baptiste throws a napkin with the perfume on it into the crowd, the entire town just starts doing it in the street. Worst part of all is they never actually explain how this perfume works. On one hand, it makes people like you. On the other hand, it makes people bang each other? Why? Moreover, why doesn't it affect Laura's dad? Sure, he was far away on the balcony, but other people were up there and they were affected by the perfume. He only starts to notice the effects of it until he gets 2 feet away from Jean-Baptiste. Does he have a really bad sense of smell? Does he have a really good sense of smell? Is it that people who have a really good sense of smell aren't affected as easily? I mean, it doesn't affect Jean-Baptiste. Speaking of Jean-Baptiste, why doesn't it affect him? He's the one wearing the perfume, and he's the one with the best sense of smell out of all of them. But the perfume doesn't do anything to him? Why? They literally never explain what this perfume is supposed to do and how this perfume is supposed to work. All we know is that it smells good, no one really knows how to make it except for Jean-Baptiste, and the legend says that when the entire world smelt it, they all took a sigh of relief.
That for one single moment, every person on earth believed they were in paradise.
And that's all we know. Look, I'm not asking them to lay it all out for us, but in storytelling, traditionally, if you're trying to give heavy importance to a thing, you usually need to establish what that thing is capable of so we, the audience, know the stakes. That's like Thanos collecting all the Infinity Stones and saying,
"Okay, I got them all. I don't really know what they do, but let's just see what happens when I snap my fingers and hope for the best."
And after all of that, Jean-Baptiste escapes Grasse while the entire town ends up forgetting everything that happened and that Jean-Baptiste was the killer. If only I could forget too. And they end up hanging this poor guy instead. Strange they had this whole grand gathering for Jean-Baptiste's execution and this guy just gets a quick hanging in a street alley. But who am I to question this movie? It hasn't made sense yet, so why am I expecting any different now? Meanwhile, Jean-Baptiste heads back to the place where he was born, and he decides that since his life mission was now complete, the most rational next step for him to take is to walk up to a bunch of homeless people, pour all of the perfume on his head, and then that causes the homeless people to eat him alive.
Silent breed is people!
And that's how the movie ends. Jean-Baptiste is nothing more than a pile of dirty clothes on the street. And in the end, everyone is dead. Except, of course, for this guy, who I'm pretty sure is the only one who wishes he was dead right now. Moral of the story, if you're a girl in 18th century France with red hair, you are a dead woman walking. Would I say I like this movie? Definitely not. But would I recommend this movie? Definitely not. I will admit that I have never seen a horror movie before that uses your sense of smell as the theme. And it was interesting enough for me to keep watching till the end, so there's that. The acting in this movie was pretty great. The actors clearly gave it their all, even though the material they were working with wasn't exactly the best. Even Ben Whishaw, the guy who plays Jean-Baptiste, did a great job. I honestly have never seen a guy play a more cold, creepy, and all-around sadistic character than this guy. So, good job, Ben. I didn't like your movie, but you made it watchable. And if you want to try this movie out for yourself, it's available on Amazon, or you can watch it for free on YouTube. But I do have one last thing that I just want to bring up. If you think about it, Giuseppe was the real bad guy of this story. He clearly saw that Jean-Baptiste was unstable, there were dozens of red flags, and he even looked genuinely afraid of him in some scenes, yet he still took him under his wing and even told him about the perfect perfume. Heck, if Giuseppe never told Jean-Baptiste about Grasse, there's a good chance that nothing that happened in the second act would have ever even occurred. So if you think about it, Master Shifu was the real bad guy all along. Laura, no! No, Laura! 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 Laura!